How you doing? Have you ever said to yourself, hey, I want a computer case that comes totally disassembled and has an instruction manual written on a mouse pad? If yes, we got just the thing for you. The Riotoro Morpheus. I originally intended to do kind of a box opening of this case, but as I opened the box and realized that there was layer of pre-wrapped components, I sort of gave that a quits. But anyway, so as I was saying, yes, your manual is on a mouse pad. Now, if any of you out there play Magic the Gathering, we also call these a playmat. But anyway, I've seen a lot of these big mouse pads. I use them at home myself. Love big mouse pads. Kind of happy to have this in here, but I must say, Mr. Riotoro really would have liked to have a manual with pictures on it of what this stuff does. Because maybe I'm just an idiot, but it took me probably an hour of just sitting here kind of holding stuff, trying to figure out what goes where. Did not have a good experience putting the case together. I went ahead and built the case into the full-size form factor. As you can see, the spacing right here. Alright. So in terms of included accessories, you get some drive bays. Woo! Drive bays. Still some components I don't even know what they're for. And maybe I misread this, but the RGB hub or the RGB stuff, there's some kind of controller you're supposed to get, does not come with the case, even though there is cabling for it. Kind of disappointing there. Price point for this case is under $200. So for a screw together case, it's not bad. The build quality is pretty good. I mean, in terms of flimsiness, it's sturdy enough. The fans are a bit of a disappointment. The pictures all show these great RGB fans. Instead you get these kind of cheap, basic red Riotoro fans. They remind me of like an old V8 Loon fan, sort of. They can't be any more than 800 or 1000 RPM. They are not fast, and you do get the 180 mil fan for the back. All right, let's get a closer look and see some of the details. So yes, the addition of these color thumb screws is very appreciated. I think that really brings off the build's look. So inside, let's take a look what we got here. So anyway, this is a reverse mount case. All right, your video card's gonna be up here. I personally really like this, so long as you're air cooling your video card. All right, since your card's gonna be up here, if you're water cooling and you have a block on, it's going to be really hard to get a GPU rest in here and have it look good, unless there's a trick to that. But anyway, having a big heavy water block is really going to sag your card. Me personally, I am really sketchy about GPU sag, especially with a GPU block. So that's cool and not cool. Your motherboard is going to come up to here, so you have plenty of space. You got some nice little grommets there, like those. Now keep in mind, okay, it is a screw together build. Each of these components kind of collapse on each other. For example, well, you can't really see that, can you? Each of these components collapse on each other, and you basically have these layers of case. But the core components of this build are riveted, so you can't unscrew everything. One thing that is screwed together, which is perhaps a blessing and a curse, is your motherboard tray. Now, zoom in a little. Now in terms of sturdiness, it does wobble around a bit. So when you're really pushing on stuff, which I wish I had a motherboard here to show you with, but like when you're pushing in your 24-pin cable, you're going to get a lot of flex on that board, or on this tray. Try to hold the case sturdy. As you can see, it really does flex. And the way it's held in there is with a couple pieces. Took me quite a few minutes to figure out how to get that in. I guess on the reverse side, you could go ahead and install your motherboard and then put this tray in. So you can look at that a few different ways. All right, back side over here. All right, so it's a dual chamber design. Got your power supply side. You can pop a single 80 mil fan, look like it would be two, and yes, it does include this 80 mil fan. It doesn't really say anything on it except that it's 0.1 amps, non-LED, standard, 3-pin. All these fans are 3 pins, no PWM. This is only about $180 for this reversible case, which I think is their big claim to fame here, is that it can be kind of a mid-tower or sort of a full tower. According to Riotoro, there's going to be options and all this different stuff. There's going to be tempered glass. What I'm worried about is if this is going to become like a Cooler Master box type deal where they say they're going to do all this stuff, but they just never really release the options for you. Alright. So, on to mounting fans and radiators. Alright. Not as many options as you would think. You can do two 120s or two 140s on top with removable dust filters. Okay? Removable dust filters all over this case. Right? However, buying this huge box, I'm a little disappointed to not see spacing for a 360 rad. I really think 360 rads are kind of the sweet spot for cooling video card and CPU. You're going to want a 360. I like to use two 240s or two 360s like I do at home. Kind of disappointed there. There is fan mounting on the bottom, which has been discussed. Now, the spacing for the fan mounting on the bottom is indeed non-standard. So you can't really just slap a 240 on there and screw down all 8 screws. But you can slap a 240 in there and just only screw down 4 of the screws and it'll hold in just fine. Because there's plenty of mesh ventilation in here, so you can kind of play around. 4 screws is plenty to hold down the radiator, so I wouldn't worry about putting a 240 in down there. One of the weird things with the fans is you sort of get this bracket for radiator or fan, and normally, by looking at it, you would think that you could kind of put the fans in here. But no, really the fans have to go on the outside, and they sort of slot in with these little pegs. Now that's all good and great. However, it's also kind of a negative. Now, your only option is to have this thing mounted in a very particular spot. Alright? You know, you can't have it mounted kind of up farther, kind of down farther, left or right. It can only go in one spot. Alright? So it's just less options, less things are going to work. It's a limiting factor. Question mark, like, why did they do this? How does this go together? The side panels, I actually like these quite a bit. I love the mesh. More airflow, the better. They gave you all the dust filters you're possibly going to need with this case. Gotta hand it to them on that. Overall, I think the case is rather bold by Riotoro. It is definitely different. Gotta say that. The price point for this sort of thing, I think on Riotoro's website it's $178 somewhere in there, so it's under 200 bucks by a little bit. But you got to know what you're getting into. The pictures on the site are a little deceiving. All those RGB fans in the front look gorgeous, and you just don't get them. You get some rather lackluster fans from Riotoro, alright? And you get this bracket. I personally didn't like the bracket thing. I would much rather have been able to just screw the fans into the front of the case, kind of like you can on the top. Yeah, it's just, again, it takes away from modularity, and it limits you to what you can do with your stuff, with your fans, with your radiators. Alright? Cable management is going to be pretty good, and I suppose if you really wanted to do kind of your own DIY stuff, there is spots where you can screw fans into these. Wouldn't recommend that. Cable management tie-down points with plastic holders, but again, what's that mean for you? It is limiting what you can do with cable management. Again, it's telling you, it's taking up all that space, basically telling you have to mount your cables here. There's a lot of limiting factors on this case that's supposed to be, but it's cool, it's different, I do like it. I would rather they had just charged $200 or $220 for the case and included some digital RGB fans in here, or at least an RGB strip, something to keep up with the times. I do like the no tempered glass. I'm getting quite tired of tempered glass. I own a lot of my own. Hate tempered glass on the front, hate tempered glass on the top. Just kills all of your airflow. Really, tempered glass is only good on the side. Fit and finish, I'm going to give it about a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. Alright, price. Price, for what you're getting, you know, the sheer size, the materials, and just the coolness factor, you know, it's not just a copy of another case. I'm going to give that about a 7 out of 10 too. It is pretty cool, and it's pretty different, and it's not crazy expensive. Now, you can definitely get some good cases out there for, you know, the $180 to $200 range. So, you know, it is what it is. It's its own thing, alright? So, build quality is pretty good, the fit and finish. The price is alright. More pros about this case, you know, obviously the versatility, being able to make it bigger or smaller. What would really have made this just an outstandingly cool case is if somehow this whole chassis could move, you know, without needing to take the whole case apart and change screws. Like if you just pulled out your motherboard and pulled some tabs and moved it down and put in another one, I don't know how that would work, but I could just see using a remote and having this case be on some kind of mechanism that goes. That would be cool. That's just thinking out loud though. Other pros about the case, it looks nice. The airflow, this is all mesh, again, no tempered glass. You have no problem getting air in there. And of course, options later, you're going to have more options. Accessories, I've never bought a case that comes with a mouse pad. So now on to some cons. Cons, I would have to say, is going to be the mounting. You're stuck with your biggest radiators being at 240 or 280. I think nowadays, for an AIO, that's pretty standard. Okay, a lot of AIOs, the most popular ones are generally 240s or 280s. On a case this big and this modular, I would like to see the ability to have a 360 on the top. That would be big. Yeah, or to even just have 3 fans. You know, that's kind of the way it's moving. People want airflow. I feel like the industry is moving away from the heavy tempered glass into stuff with more airflow. But on that note, another con, no tempered glass side panel. Come on, Riotoro, bring out those tempered glass side panels. Let's just face it, this isn't the 90s anymore. Computer components that look cool. They're built to look cool. And you want to see those. You're not really going to see your components through this. Alright. It is what it is. Other cons is absolutely the instruction manual. Alright, this is a terrible instruction manual, in my opinion. You need a visual representation of what's going on. Alright, I can just imagine if I was a first-time system builder, you know, I got my motherboard, my video card, my CPU, and my RAM, and I've been watching YouTube videos. Alright, I'm going to buy this Riotoro, and I pull this thing out of the box, you know, I'd blow my top. I'd say, screw it, I'm not building a computer. So, there's that. Another con, the fans. They show a beautiful picture of Rgb Fans on the cover for the case on the website. These fans are just not cutting it for me. They're quiet, yes, but that's because they're super slow. Airflow's not great. 80mm fans, come on guys. I don't know. I think they should charge another 20 bucks and give you full-on Rgb fans with that controller. So there's that. More cons. And that's pretty much it for cons. You know, it's cool. It's cool, we'll leave it at that. Still some stuff inside of the case that I'm not even sure what it's for. There's little standoffs with screw holes in here, and I don't even know what you do with those. So, but yeah, Riotoro got the Morpheus, as in morphs, not as in Morpheus from the Matrix. This does not represent Morpheus from the Matrix at all, in my opinion. But anyway, Riotoro, thank you very much for sending us the review sample. We really appreciate it. We look forward to working with Riotoro. I like this company. I think they're a good up-and-coming brand. This is a great case to slap an XSPC 240 kit in, or any kind of like a Vortex kit. If you want to get started, you like this case, buy a Vortex kit on FrozenCPU.com. Have it put in here. Hoping in the future you know, we'll be working more with Riotoro, have more of their cases, because I do really like this brand. I like the marketing, I like the power supplies, I like the peripherals. Riotoro Morpheus, Max here, frozen CPU there. Have a great day.